Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast. Today's guest, friend, and extraordinary chef, James Avery, is back with me. What's up, brother?
What's up, my man?
Really quick, I've been changing format a little bit because what I see with my guests and my friends is there's so many amazing things that I'm learning, we just learned off camera, that I love sharing with our audience.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with the first question in that saying, looking back at your journey with Hell's Kitchen and how you got there.
Yeah.
To Gordon Ramsay, et cetera. Talk about the moment that led up to that, how that changed you as a person and as a chef to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting on Hell's Kitchen and serving as Gordon's sous chef and being on some of his other TV shows in that capacity, that was a very big, monumental win for me. But the moments that really led up to that are what defined me as a chef. Through my 20s, building my career, I became a father very young. I got in and out of the business. I worked for David Burke for a little while. I started my own restaurant. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. And at 29, I was like, fuck this. I have to really put my nose to the grindstone right now. So I decided to go work in Atlantic City, what I thought was the best restaurant in the state, Sea Blue at the Borgata, and the chef that was running that kitchen, his name was Anthony Amoroso. He had just recently won Iron Chef America. He beat Morimoto in a seafood battle. So I was like, I want to go work there for that guy and just go as hard as I can go for as long as I can to see where that brings me in my career. So I spent a year working down there and commuting, 60 plus miles each way, 5-6 days a week at times. But Chef Ramsay was filming another TV show in the state of New Jersey called Kitchen Nightmares. His corporate chef at the time, who was also a sous chef on Hell's Kitchen, used to work for the company that owned the restaurant I was at. And they had reached out and wanted my boss, Anthony, to come help out on the show. Anthony obviously couldn't do it. He had to stay at Sea Blue, but being that I was an entry-level guy, kind of low on the totem pole, he sent me because I had proven myself. I'd showed up, I was consistent, I worked hard, I took direction well, and I was hungry. So he let me go take this opportunity to work with the production and Gordon Ramsay, and it kind of went from there. I spent that winter working behind the scenes and on camera for Kitchen Nightmares. Went back to Atlantic City. I now became an executive chef, was opening up restaurants, and one day out of the blue, I got a phone call, and it was literally, I forget what I was doing. It was with my wife somewhere, but get a phone call, and it's, hi, this is such and such. I'm an executive producer for the TV show Hell's Kitchen. We're considering having you come join the production as Gordon Ramsay's on-camera sous chef. We liked what you did on Kitchen Nightmares. And it was 30 years old at this point in time. And I literally remember, that was the biggest breakthrough of my entire career. That was the defining thing. I think that commitment to just starting over again at 29, giving it my all, just seeing how rewarding that was, literally going from not knowing what I'm gonna do with myself at 29, taking a job for $12.57 an hour, to within 2 or 3 years being on camera with Gordon Ramsay.
It's awesome.
Something crazy.
One of the things, as your friend, your workout buddy, and seeing your social media all the time, I love this question for you. In every elite performer, and I don't care what their walk of life is, has a philosophy. What is the core principle in life, in your personal kitchen commandment, that has guided your entire career? And whatever you say, I'm gonna say something different because I always hear you say it, and I'm like, but
my philosophy is swing the hammer. Get going, man. Take massive action, but the action is nothing if it's not backed up by discipline and consistency. So those are my two guiding principles, So taking massive action, but having the discipline and the consistency to do it when you don't feel like fucking doing it. Greatness happens when you do things consistently over time, small things.
I love that. Obviously, on the shows, and correct me because I'm going to learn a little bit because obviously it's Hollywood, right? It's TV, totally. Whatever. You've been on in kitchens that would be cooking at the highest level in the world. What separates a good chef from a world-class chef, from what you've learned from working alongside the Gordon Ramsays, the David Burkes, and all the other amazing chefs you worked alongside?
I think, believe it or not, chefs, and you can talk about, elite chefs and all this stuff. There's elite chefs, in my opinion, that run hotels that you will never hear of. There's elite chefs that run arenas. It's, being a chef, it just means you run a kitchen. There's different formats to be a chef in. You could be a Michelin 3-star chef. I've never worked in a Michelin restaurant, ever. I wouldn't know how to. I've always stayed in the casual space. So it's not so much the food that defines the chef. It's knowing who they are, knowing who their customer is, the business that they're running and leading, But what they do all have in common, and I'm actually teaching this in my workshop, is that, aside from consistency and a lot of things, I find that the 4 attributes that really define the most elite chefs in the world, it's that they're calm, they're capable, they're calculated, and they're creative. And those 4 things I really see most consistently across the board, across all types of chefs. Those are the guys that fucking pretty much dominate the
industry. Love that.
Yeah.
Obviously, to this audience, and I've been around enough with you, Asbury, and even sing your praise for getting workouts. And I was working out with Chef today, and people fly back awesome comments. They know you as Chef James Avery, culinary icon, etc. But who is James outside the kitchen? Father, husband, the man building his legacy.
That's really what, for the longest time, my Instagram bio was, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a chef, fitness enthusiast. I'm just a normal guy. I like to stay as humble as possible and just be a dad. I coach lacrosse. I'm focused on work, but outside of that, I love to work out. I love my family. I love just staying at home and chilling out,
Love that. Obviously, we're always brainstorming. I love the fact that you're always outside the box and you're always trying to evolve and really recreate yourself in the business. And we're going to talk about your mastery group and your coaching group that you got going right now. You've hinted at your next big moves: cookbook, consulting, brand expansion. What's the next chapter you're writing as we speak?
Yeah, so right now I'm in between restaurants. As you know, I exited out of my restaurants 8 months ago. I stayed on with the group that purchased one of them as a consultant and just handled the transition. I was doing some consulting for some other groups. Right now, while I wait to figure out the next brick and mortar business I want to be involved in, I want to spend some time focusing on the industry itself. I think there's a lot of fundamental flaws with the business, with the mindset of the people in it. And I really want to focus on working with chefs and culinarians and restaurant owners and really help them develop ways to push this business forward. So I'm launching the Modern Brigade. It's an online community of, again, chefs, restaurant workers, hospitality professionals, owners. And I'll be doing this workshop over the next 8 weeks called the Chef's Mastery Workshop. Really focusing on mindset, skill set, tool set, health set. Nothing to do with cooking. These are the things that will make them successful. Like I just told you. You know what I'm saying?
Like the 4 C's you were just talking about.
This whole framework is what I'll be teaching. So I'm excited about that. The thing I love most about being a chef, and I'm sure you being an athlete and have coached sports before, I love fucking mentoring people. It's as satisfying to me to help somebody along the way as it is to make great food for somebody.
Love that. Obviously, you've been a leader and a mentor in kitchens that operate at an extremely high level. How have those leadership skills translated into business, family, fitness, life?
You mean all the skills? It's hard. I have to wear these different hats and I have to have different energy. The energy I have in a kitchen when I'm leading and I'm grinding and I'm pushing people, I kind of have to remind myself that when I'm at home, I have to be a little softer. I need to be dad. I can't be Chef James at home. Just like I can't be dad at the restaurant. I have to learn how to separate the two. Believe it or not, I read a lot of books about communication and leadership and things like nonviolent communication and love languages and stuff like that. You can even apply that stuff to work. Constantly just trying to find better ways to communicate with the people around me. I think that's the one area that as just people in general don't spend enough time focusing on. And then just self-leadership. You really can't master anything outside of your world if your inner world is not. If you're not consistent, your restaurant won't be consistent. If you're not, holding yourself to a certain standard, you're not going to be able to hold people to a certain standard. So a lot of practicing what you preach in and out of the kitchen.
Love that. Obviously, brother, we've got after and moved some iron a bunch of times. So fitness and lifestyle are becoming a bigger part of your brand. How has taking care of your body shaped your mindset, creativity, and discipline so far as what you're becoming?
Specifically to my industry, there's been a lot of unhealthy habits for way too long in the business, and I think it's important now, and it's not just me, you're seeing a lot of chefs get involved. They're starting running clubs, they're doing triathlons, they're getting into jiu-jitsu. I think it's important in that regard. It's a great way to offset a lot of the mental health issues you might see in this business. But for me, nobody can ever take away your health other than you, right? Building your body to the best shape you can be in. You own that. That's fucking yours. Nobody can take that away. And when you work that hard, you earn it. There's something to be said about that with a sense of pride and peace of mind. I think for me, building my body in such a way, there's a lot of good reasons to be doing it.
Rationale, like the mindset behind
it? No, just like there's a lot of reasons you want to be in shape, right? Longevity, which is important. It makes you stronger. But for me, it's like, I did this. This is mine. I own this. You can never take it away from me. I don't care what happens in the economy. I don't care what happens. This is mine.
Well, I think the neat thing, and the audience will appreciate this for the raw side of our relationship, is both of us were in a tumultuous, in different ways, place when we met.
Yeah.
You were remarkably zen for the chefs and being around them. I grew up in the food business, different working. You're like, I met you as the guy that like my friends and people around me are like, dude, that's fucking James Avery, da, da, da. And I'm like, yeah, it's my workout buddy. He's a good dude. You know what I mean? I'm like, and like, but you know, in my head, I knew you that way until I got down to Asbury and they're like, chef. And I'm like, dude, it's like, you know, they were like, you know, it's like, it was pretty cool. But the one thing that I would say is being around you and watching your mind, you get it. You read, you learn, you work out, you take an injury, you study. You are a student of your health.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and that is something I definitely have in your mastery program, to be like, letting them know how hard, just listening to you as a healthcare provider, and I chuckle because sometimes I listen to people talk and I'm like, and it pains me because I always say to people, there's so much to learn. And now with AI, like it's inescapable that like I can sit there and just put stuff and be like, instead of saying something in ignorance, I'm like, oh, that's right, I forgot that. And I'll watch people get up on their soapbox and be spewing out stupidity. And like when I listen to you speak, I'm like, he gets it. Like he does his research, and you know. So I compliment on that. So I think that that's a huge part that you shouldn't let go. Like if I'm giving you coaching advice as a coach, your chef community needs that part of you.
Yes.
I think that's a 7-figure part of you.
That
just hasn't happened yet.
That's one of the 4 legs. You know, I said it's mindset, it's skill set, it's tool set, and it's health set. You have to be healthy in this business. You have to be mentally healthy, physically healthy. It's long hours. And I always say, you have to be able to be in this game, this space of being a chef, long enough to be successful. It takes time. And if you're always injured, if you're broken, if you get to, 35 years old and you can't stand in a kitchen for 8 hours, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know? But there's other benefits. That was the word I was looking for. But there's other benefits to being in shape. You feel better. You look better. You perform better.
So, love that, and thank you. You've built restaurants, teams, brands, and careers for people. I've watched people thank you as you were closing stuff, saying thank you so much for bringing me to this industry. What's the biggest money lesson you've learned, and what do chefs misunderstand about wealth when it comes to the food and culinary business? Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, that's a great question. Chefs should always, and this is from Marco Pierre White, you should always have a cookbook in one hand and a calculator in the other. You know, in a perfect world, there's that balance, right? At the end of the day, this is a business and we have to make money. That has to be equally paid attention to. At the same time, it can't just be about the money. The money is cutting costs, saving this. There's an art to it, and that's where the cookbook in the other hand comes in. So my advice is to young chefs, it's not just about the food, right? Learn the business side, listen to the business side. You know, for me, restaurants are really expensive. When you walk into a restaurant, you look around, everything you see is a line on the P&L. Light bulbs, dishwasher, busboy, busgirl, the mints at the counter, the things on the menu, the actual menu. Literally everything you see and don't see is a cost.
It's a cost, yeah.
And you have to learn how to master those. And I think my biggest takeaway in life is to over budget, Everything takes more time and way more money and way more than you think, we'll be a little over budget. No, you're going to be 30% over budget, I promise you. And you're going to be probably 30 to 40% over schedule, beyond schedule. So I think if you're going to my younger chef friends, is if you're starting a business, make sure you're well funded, right? And if you're a young cook trying to come into this business, live lean. It's not going to last forever. Kind of like how I did in Atlantic City, work. The money will come when the work is there. Don't wait around to get paid more money to be a better version of yourself. Fucking do it. The money will follow.
Love that. Influence is a currency. You've earned it definitely the hard way. You've definitely been not just jump in, but like your job at 29. You didn't care about the rate. You drove, you did it. You were coming from Wall or up by us, going all the way down there every day. What type of influence do you want to create moving forward, and what impact do you want to leave behind?
The industry isn't the villain. I love the restaurant business, and I've always tried to lead by example. I've been in love with my wife since the day I met her for 20 years. That's a rarity in my business. I've raised children. Have I missed a lot of things? Have I had to make a lot of sacrifice? Yes. I've stayed in shape. I've had some financial success. So it's a great business. And the impact I want to leave behind is, I want to change the business to be better for people that want to get into it. But I also want to change the people in it and give them a beacon or give them something to look forward to in this business.
Love that. Yeah. Love everything about that. We definitely got to make sure that's a real, brother. If this microphone that you're on right now was the last one you ever spoke into, what's the one piece of tough love every young chef, creator of a restaurant, entrepreneur, or even parent needs to hear today? That's deep, brother.
You're just not as important as you think you are. You know what I mean? There's a lot more going on outside of you. You're part of something bigger. You're not the main character.
Love that. I got to tell you, I love what this podcast is going to be. Like, asking these questions and seeing you firing off these answers was even better than I thought, because I knew that you'd be on point. But I think how well read you are, not to mention even more life experiences.
Yeah.
That book right there, the memoirs of what you've seen and experienced, is priceless in your industry. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure.
We'll close with this. Is one of the things is James is launching or has launched recently, and it's already off to a great start, a coaching, mastery, support, mentorship. Again, in this space, it's a rough space. I mean, it's demanding, and to be at the highest level like yourself, there's nothing like, I always say this in coaching in my space, is even though they're outside my genre, I want to see what they're doing and keep chasing that and keep chasing greatness to improve. Yeah. I'm always seeing a picture, you got 19 books on a counter, and I know that's something why we vibe, that I'm like, my man is never settled. He is always swinging that hammer.
That's it.
And thank you. I appreciate you joining me today, brother. I can't wait to see this podcast. Yeah. I appreciate you, man.
You got it.